We're cooking every Michelin-rated omelette in the world, from French classics all the way through to Asian street food vendors.
Each one has a reputation, some for flavour, some for technique, and some of them we've never even seen before.
We're following the original methods to see if this humble egg dish can really truly be recommended by the Michelin Guide.
First off, Bangkok, baby!
Omelette number 1. We have this Michelin-starred omelette from Jai Fei. It's quite simple in the ingredients. So we've just got crabs. We're using brown crabs here. So in Bangkok, chef would have used a large mud crab. Obviously, we don't have those in this country, so we are using a brown Cornish crab. So this has been steamed until all the meat's fully cooked and then just chilled down. This street food vendor in Bangkok was awarded a Michelin star in 2018. It was actually the second ever street food restaurant to be awarded a Michelin star. The first one was in Singapore, and it's a real shift in Michelin, realizing that good food doesn't have to always be served in a certain setting. She still cooks this dish on the street food market every day. She's now over 70 years old, and she's still there cooking day in, day out, which is pretty incredible. She was originally by trade, she was actually a seamstress. Only learned to cook when she's in her 30s. So interestingly enough, we refer to her as Jai Fei, but that's actually only her nickname. In Thai, that translates to sister mole, which is because of the large mole she has on her face, which seems a little bit harsh if you ask me, but obviously there's no official recipe for this. What we've gathered through research is that she has 1 egg in a bowl, which she then adds the crab into, more egg into there, and beats it, and then uses that while she's cooking to sort of help to seal the omelette. So we're gonna have two types of egg here, one in the dish and one in this little jug here. So we've got a little pinch of salt in the egg, a little pinch of MSG as well, because why the hell not? Now, interestingly enough, before we go in with the crab, she added a spoon of flour, which is gonna help to crisp up before we go in with our crab. She uses an awful lot of crab. We're gonna use about half of this. And the key here is not to break up the crab too much. You might use a little bit more than half. A little bit for the chef. Oh, flavour. A little bit of pepper. So it looks sort of like almost like I'm about to make tempura crab, effectively. So, as per the video, when she cooks on the wok, she wears ski goggles. Oh, fucking hell, that hurts. My head's still tender. Got my oil. I've watched this video a few times, so I'm hoping I'm going to be able to pull it off. So it looks like she was sort of moving it around and then rolling it as it cooks. Oh shit, my goggles, forgot my goggles. Shit, so I'm rolling. Nice, it's come together a lot easier than I thought. I thought it wasn't gonna really show together, but I think my oil was a bit hotter than hers. So I'm just shaping it. I actually don't even need the extra egg. We'll do a little bit just for the crack. But you can see the general gist of it. So we're just shaping it, try and get like a nice round shape, and then we're just rotating it to get nice even color on all sides. And obviously we're trying to make sure that the middle is cooked as well. And I reckon we're not far off there. Gonna drain it, place it onto our tray. Egg a la Jai Fei.
Whoa, that looks amazing.
We're gonna serve it with some sriracha, bit of coriander. I can see the elegance of it. It does look a little bit bland, a really large croquetta almost. But you know, you can imagine if you're in the streets of Bangkok and just coming fresh out the fryer, I think it's probably gonna be a different vibe, right?
Ooh, jeez, check that out. That has actually got a nice bit of like gooiness to the centre as well. What's not to like? Caramelised
Pretty good.
crabbiness. That is actually delicious.
I think the temperature was slightly too high.
Yeah.
Like, the middle is delicious, but the outside is a bit that sort of like papery feel.
If it didn't have that crispy batter stuff, that wouldn't be very pleasant, but it's because of that, it's super crispy. I actually think this one might take the biscuit. So damn
I don't know how an omelette could be beaten by that.
Poor old Jack Fry's 70 now, she's getting on a bit, so if you can't make it all the way out to Bangkok and queue up for this omelette, make it at home.
Perfectly with Fallow sriracha, I may add. Available in a store near you.
So, next omelette, Omelette Arnold Bennett. An absolute classic, staple on the menu at the Savoy, still to this day. For those of you who don't know, Arnold Bennett was a novelist, mainly producing literature in the late 19th century, early 20th century. He was a commentator on the pottery industry in Staffordshire. This is some beautiful smoked haddock, cured and then lightly smoked over oak. And I've just left the skin on. So we're going to poach this in milk, and this is going to be the basis to the sauce that dresses the omelette. The Savoy is a historic London hotel. I think if you think about London and the luxury hotels, you think about the Dorchester, you think of the Goring, the Ritz. The Savoy is also in that sort of elite class of incredibly influential hotels. So Augusta Scoffier actually was one of the head chefs in the Savoy. So it kind of shows this like rich, historic gastronomic past. And then for this dish to have survived all the way up till modern day, albeit in a slightly different format now, it kind of demonstrates, you know, the pride that they still have in this dish today. The Savoy had a Michelin star under Gordon Ramsay from between the years of 2003 to 2006. So at that time, this was a Michelin-rated omelette, and we've just got a little bit of onion, which is just going to season this milk as the fish poaches. So added some bay leaves, and then just add in a few peppercorns. So this fish is just gently going to poach. We've taken the bones out and left the skin on. And what we want is just to get this fish, it's going to be cooked twice, so just delicately cooked enough so we can flake it all over our omelette. 3 eggs. So it kind of follows a tradition, I guess, the omelette Arnold Bennett of like famous people having dishes named after them in hotels. Another good example of this would be the Peach Melba, which was named after the most famous ballet dancer at the time. So Arnold Bennett apparently stayed in the Savoy, and he ate this every single day. No one actually really remembers, sorry, students of English literature, who Arnold Bennett was, but they all know what his omelette was. So this milk has got all this flavour from the smoked haddock. I'm just going to season it a little bit. It's just started to pull away. That's basically ready. I'm just going to give it an extra second. The Savoy now is actually one of the Gordon Ramsay restaurants. The Savoy Grill is anyway. And this is where Ramsay got his kind of notoriety. Comes from taking these classic dishes like this omelette Arnold Bennett, and he's just given them a sort of modern facelift. So it's had different iterations throughout its history, but this is the basic principle of it. So it's just like still like quite translucent. So don't completely knacker the fish, because it's going to be cooked one more time. So you don't want to completely get rid of all of the moisture out of there. Nice, it'll be very dry. I've never actually tried it in the Savoy. I think it's probably one of those things that you do before, you know, on the bucket list. I'm not a massive smoked fish for breakfast kind of guy. It's a bit more of an old school thing. So the same thing, like the idea of eating this for breakfast every single day, it's just a bit eccentric for my liking. Butter in here, just some unsalted butter, and then equal parts flour. Nice caramelization to the butter. Just take it a tiny little bit further than you would normally. It's going to add a nice sweet nuttiness to it. Then we've got this milk, which is infused with bay, our white onions, and we're going to try and make a nice light bechamel and just cook that flour out. I'm going to hit this with black pepper. Just before I take it off, I'm just going to add a touch of Dijon, just for a bit of acidity. And you want a nice sort of loose consistency, not too thick. And then for our omelette, just 1 knob of butter, and almost we're going to do like a tornado egg. A little bit of pepper, eggs go in, fairly high heat. You want them to sort of bubble straight away as soon as it hits the pan, and then draw the egg in. And again. And just turning it around, you get this almost like beautiful little flour, which is going to be the base to our omelette. So you notice I've still got a little bit of undercooked egg there. Don't want to take it too far at this stage. But what I want is those nice little layers. So cheese goes on. I'm just using an English cheddar. Nice amount of like these big flakes of smoked haddock, and then layering up our bechamel. And then it's going to gratinate, so you just want to cover all of the egg with the Mornay sauce, with the cheese sauce. And then just one final hit of cheddar on top, and then this is going to gratinate under the grill. Super easy to make at home there. Place it under the grill until it gets a really nice gratination. Right, so just going to pull this out and then just going to finish it with a little blowtorch just to finish the gratination. I'm going to garnish this with a nice old-fashioned long chive situation. Really impressive, isn't it? Wow. That's incredible.
God, our famous novelist's favourite dude.
Yeah. Omelette Arnold Bennett. Obviously you've read his collected works, right?
Yes, standard. I actually hate this dish, not gonna lie.
What? Why?
That is the last thing I'd ever think about having for breakfast, ever. You don't want to shit on your hard work here, man.
I think that looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, but it's just like not a breakfast dish.
It's cheesy, it's gooey, it's fishy, it's eggy.
Yeah, I mean like, it's all things that are nice, but I just don't get it. There's nothing wrong with the flavour, it's just like, it's not to my taste.
I like it. I think it's nice though that these dishes kind of survive. on menus. If you're in the historic Savoy Hotel, it's a must.
We're on to another fish-based omelette next, and it uses oysters, spring onions, rice flour, and then we have a little sort of fish sauce, oyster sauce, dipping sauce to go over at the end. So we're going to start by opening our oysters. So just going to remove them from the shelf. So this stall in the Taiwanese night market opened in 1965 and still run by the same family to this day now. So on our Michelin journey of omelettes here, this one is a little bit different. It's not actually a Michelin star, but it's been recommended in the Michelin guide for the last 5 years, which is no small achievement by any stretch of the imagination. Within the Michelin guide, there's obviously different levels that obviously you can get. So you obviously have the 1, 2, and 3 stars, which everyone knows really well. And then they have the new green star, you know, an award for green ethos. And then we have Michelin Bib Gourmand, which is an award based on their value. And then you have Michelin rated, which is basically means you're within the guide. Michelin guide recommends that your restaurant or your food venue is worth visiting. Cool, so the base of this omelette is going to be oysters that are lightly fried, a rice flour pancake batter with spring onions in, which we're going to pour over the oysters, add our eggs. These eggs are quite small, so we're going to go with 3. But if you had larger eggs, 2 would be more than enough. We have our oysters just draining off nicely, so we can get a little bit, want them to be a little bit drier, so we can get a nice fry on them. Then for our batter, we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of our rice flour and 2 tablespoons of our potato starch. And then we are just going to bind that together with some salt. Not too much because the oysters will be naturally salty anyway. And then finish that off with water to make a nice wet slurry. Then we're going to add our spring onions into the batter. And then we're pretty much ready to go. In our little container here, we have oyster sauce, fish sauce, and sriracha. And we're going to use that to garnish our omelette. So worth noting, oysters in Taiwan are obviously a lot smaller than these sort of European ones. So I'm just going to cut my oysters in half. I'm going to add my oil to the pan, put it on a medium heat, and then probably use somewhere in the region of about 10 oysters. I'm not a massive fan of cooked oysters, if I'm honest. So once our pan is nice and hot, we're going to go in with our oysters. I'm going to try not to move them around too much because I want to break them up. Then we're going to go in with our spring onion pancake mix. A nice full pan. So our pan's on nice and hot. We're just going to break up the yolks to sort of just like a couple of twists. And then we're just going to pour the eggs over. And just sort of rotate the eggs round. Cool, so you can see the egg is starting to cook around the outside. So I'm just going to make sure it's not sticking. So just keeping it on a nice high heat. Just trying to get rid of a little bit of that surface moisture. And then after about a minute or 2, we'll be ready to flip. Whoa! So we flipped it now. First impression, unsure of this one. Okay, so finishing off the cooking on the other side. So to serve, we then got our pancake folded in half. So we're going to just drizzle it with our fish sauce, sriracha, and oyster sauce. Then we've got a few spring onions to garnish. Looks good? Not.
It looks really good from the outside, and then as soon as you get in there...
Actually, it's actually disgusting. I don't think you made it right. It's so snotty. I definitely didn't make it right.
If anyone ever says oysters are a snotty texture, all we've done here is put them in a pancake and then make them even snottier.
There's no way this was the look that they were going for.
I think it's an insult to Taiwanese street food, what we've created here. The sauce is actually doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Like, the sauce is delicious.
Put hairs on your chest, that's for sure.
Do you think it's meant to be this mouthfeel consistency? In fairness, it does look like, but it definitely has that same pull. Look.
The actual snot on its own is not that bad.
It's the oysters combined with the snot, but just, it's going to have to get a pass from me.
Yeah.
If we go to Taiwan, though, I'll try it properly.
If there's any Taiwanese chefs that follow the channel,
let us know how much Jack has messed it up.
Right.
Next up,
Viva España!
We're in Spain. Paulo Arudo. Not sure if the pronunciation is correct. He holds 2 Michelin stars in San Sebastian. San Sebastian is simply known as, I think, the foodie capital of the world now. It's got one of the highest concentrations of Michelin star restaurants in the world. It's an awesome city to go and eat. Generally speaking, a fantastic eating culture, but also produce. So we've just got potatoes, we slice them really thin, and we're just going to wash them to remove some of the starch. Not too thin on the potatoes, like slightly thick, and then we're going to lightly fry them. So Paulo Arudo, he's actually trained in a lot of restaurants. He even trained in the UK. Most notably, he was at the Fat Duck, owned by Heston, which is also one of the restaurants that we trained at. Yeah, my time at the Fat Duck was relatively short, and it involved peeling turnips for most of the time I was there. And then we've got some beautiful Cevennes onions. So we're just gonna slice these up and we're gonna add in some caramelized onions into the base of our tortilla. So these are just gonna lightly caramelize, and then that's gonna give us the sweetness that runs through our tortilla. So the first mention of the tortilla in history comes in 1817. It was created for soldiers. Very little ingredients that they need to take with them on the go, all staple ingredients that they could cook very quickly in one small pan, which would feed a group of soldiers. Really what we're looking for is for these potatoes to soften, crisp up slightly, so they don't make the tortilla too wet. Okay, so our patatas are looking perfect, and they're just gonna chill out under the lights until they dry out even more and firm up for about an hour. We're gonna sweat off and caramelize these beautiful sweet onions. So just add a little bit of salt whilst they cook down. And we're just almost gonna gently confit these until they're completely soft and golden. It'll take about as long as it'll take for the potatoes to rest, about 45 minutes. Okay, so this is what we're looking for at 35 minutes. Just keep stirring them until they're really dark. Make the omelette, 3 eggs, whisk it, and then in our pan with our caramelized onions, add in a good hit of oil. The oil will rehydrate these potatoes and sort of saturate them. It's gonna be a really nice rich base. Just gonna add a tiny bit of salt as well. Just give that a light fold and then let that sit for 20-25 minutes. Once these have softened down, just add them in to your egg mix, which is now warm and tempered. Mix it to combine, and the mixture should look quite chunky. Lots of that onion, lots of those potatoes bound by this beautiful egg. I'm gonna put a shitload of black pepper, 100 turns of black pepper. Chives just for the top, just for the garnish. So the restaurant that he heads up was awarded its first star in 2017, and then it actually received its second star in 2022. There's a lot of things that need to go well for it to work. The potatoes being fried enough, the moisture level, the sweetness of the onions. So it's one of those things like with all the omelettes, to be quite honest, it shows a level of dedication. This is for you, Paola. So nice hot mold, and then layer in our omelette almost to the top. We'll leave a bit of wiggle room. So just lightly rolling it, just trying to get that nice dome shape. So just pull it away, and you can kind of roll it in the mold. So we're getting a nice colour all the way around. And then to cut on the other side, you can flip it if you're ambitious, but I'm not. So I'm just gonna flip it onto a plate and then gently slide it back in. Spanish omelette. Very nice and gentle, very soft in the middle. Paolo serves his with small blob of lemon mayo and a giant heap of caviar. Just a Cetra caviar. Finish with a couple of chives. Oh, what a treat. Get in here, Crofty.
It's cool, man.
What's good, eh?
Egg on egg.
Ah, very good. Egg on egg on egg.
Egg, egg and eggy.
Caramelised onions, Yukon Gold, loads of olive oil, standard situation. I mean, what's not to like about this?
Yeah, it's lovely and sweet. Like, it's so different to your British omelettes, like.
The saltiness of the caviar, creaminess of the mayo, richness of the potatoes makes it incredible. Probably the most prestigious one so far. If you think Yak Fire was only a 1-star and it was a street food, this is actually a 2-star restaurant in the heart of San Sebastian.
Okay, so our next omelette is the spider crab omelette from Mountain Restaurant in Soho, London, England. 1-star Michelin rated restaurant, and it's the sister restaurant of the critically acclaimed Brat restaurant in Shoreditch by Chef Thomas Parry. Opened in 2023, it's just around the corner from our restaurant Fallow. It's a fairly simple dish really in its entirety, but sometimes those can be some of the best, right? So we're gonna start off by just picking some spider crab meat. So this dish is it's a traditional French omelette style base, which we're gonna cook very lightly with very little color. We're going to put the spider crab meat through the inside of the omelette, then brush the whole thing with a lovely seaweed butter at the end. So taking our dole, so we're just going to finely shred it one way. So we're just going to really finely chop the seaweed and then fold it through some butter with a little bit of brown crab meat as well to give us that look we're after. Okay, so seaweed's going to go into our bowl. So we're just going to season with a suggestion of pepper. That's just brown crab meat which has been sieved, just to get that nice little flavour. Okay, so we've got our seaweed butter. Going to put this in the fridge so it sets up a little bit. Back for the omelette itself, we're going to make a 3-egg omelette. So first of all, we're going to crack our egg into a bowl. Das tres. We're going to add salt to this, and we want a very fine texture on this egg. So we're going to whisk the egg, and then we're going to pass it afterwards. We're going to pass it into our container. Egg's ready. Give the crab a little taste just to make sure. Yep, it's delicious. So we're going to start off on a nice low heat. We're going to add some butter to our pan. Pan's on a medium-low heat. We're going to add our eggs, like so. And then we're just going to move it around. And then we're just looking to have like a roughly set omelette by the time we add the crab. So we're looking for little to no colour. So the chef style at Mountain is very much using Spanish influences, but with British and Welsh sort of ingredient focused. As you can see, the egg is starting to set now. So once that egg is setting, we're now going to leave it. And next we're going to add our crab down the centre of the omelette, nice and generous. Nothing worse than ordering a crab omelette and not getting any crab. A little sprinkling to season the crab as well. Then we're going to start to release it from the sides. You can see that the omelette should be starting to move. Turn the heat up slightly just to get enough of a crust so that we can release the omelette from the pan nicely without it tearing. So our eggs are just set in the middle. Just going to fold over one side and then just going to gently flip out our egg omelette onto the plate, tuck it in. Not the neatest presentation there, but not bad for a rookie. And then just tidy it up a little bit. Ideally, I would have got that out a little bit neater. Is we're going to take the seaweed butter, just glide it over. Spider crab omelette.
Absolutely love Mountain.
Yeah, this is a classic.
This was my favourite dish when I was there. Didn't look like that then.
What? That was good.
Yeah, kind of.
Nice. Crab shell.
Spider crab is absolutely delicious, isn't it?
So
Super
sweet.
sweet.
The sweetness of the crab and like that fishiness of the seaweed is delicious.
Very simple, very elegant. My entire meal at Mountain was exactly the same. They got a lot of confidence. What they put on the plate is just simple, elegant. To be honest, that is absolutely delicious.
No, it is absolutely delicious.
Those were slightly runnier, if I remember. But I think you've got more crab in yours. So, crofty. It's very good.
Perfect. Excellent.
Better than your
Next
last
one.
snot bucket anyway. Back to Bangkok, baby. With Sam Law's fluffy Bangkok omelette. So this is a curious recipe, to say the least. Essentially what we've got is a very fluffy exterior with a crispy top and a molten egg yolk middle. Sounds delicious. A few little tricks to get there. So what we've got in here is egg yolks mixed with fish sauce. And this is going to be our frozen puck in the inside. And the fish sauce just helps stop freezing and it gives it a good seasoning into that molten centre. So, Sam Law is a casual Thai restaurant and it's held at Bib Gourmand. These bad boys go into the freezer until they're really firm and this will be the centre to our liquid egg omelette. So, what we're going to do is we're going to start by separating our eggs. And essentially what we want is we're going to whip some to stiff peaks and then we're also, in order to stabilise that even further to get them really firm, we're going to basically make a sabayon with the yolks. So, this will be a very stable, almost like souffle omelette base that you would have in France. So separate, we're going to do 4 eggs, otherwise it's very hard to heat up less than 4 in a bain-marie. First we're going to whip our egg whites to stiff peaks. Nice stiff peaks, holding its peak. Nice bain-marie here, and then we're just going to lightly heat these up until we see the first traces of a sabayon forming. Sabayon's just a French terminology for frothy egg yolks that have been cooked over heat. It should leave like thin aerated ribbons. And it's going to stabilise this egg mix. So just before it's sort of thickened, and then in a separate bowl, confusingly, 1 normal egg with half a lime, and adding the egg and the lime together just helps to make it really, really crispy, and this is going to be our crispy top. So we've got our molten bottom, the body of our omelette, and then this is our crispy top, which gets dripped in to really, really ferociously hot oil, and this one just goes into a bottle so we can drop this nicely into our really nice hot oil. Okay, so the action is all going to happen in this copper pan. So that you get yourself a pan that's a nice size, like basically the finished omelette is going to be the same size as this pan. So not too big, not too small. We're going to go into the pan with a good amount of oil, probably about 150 mils, and we're going to wait until it starts smoking. The guys who run this are a husband and wife duo. For them, lockdown was a super important time. Obviously they closed, albeit for a different amount of time than we did in the West. There's a lot of examples where people change things for the better in lockdown, and this is one of those examples. I'm going to very simply garnish this. I've just literally got some torn coriander. I've just shredded up a few chilies. Okay, so our oil is smoking. Egg mix is going to go into the pan. So this is our crispy top. So just lightly moving that around. Then egg mix, just fold in the whites and the yolks. So our eggs are nice and crispy. And now we're just going to lay in our first layer of souffle mix. And if the oil gets a little bit too bubbly and vociferous all around the outside, you can easily pour a little bit away. And you're just creating a little bit of a layer for them to start cooking in. So little edge, our molten middle goes in, and then we just finish with another layer of egg on top. And then this whole thing is gonna get baked in the oven 6 minutes at 180 degrees. Not sure about this one. Let's see. Right, moment of truth. The Sam Law omelette. Oh wow, looks beautiful and golden on top. Actually smells really good. And I'm just gonna tip it straight onto a plate that we're gonna serve it on. Just be careful, there might be some oil, residual oil in there. Shitloads of oil. Moment of truth. Ooh, it's hot. Wow. That actually looks so good. Crofty, get in here. Let's get into this mother then. So we should have
Coriander's good.
a crispy outside. Hey, I tell you what, that's exactly what we're looking for. A molten centre.
Let's give it a go.
Let's crack into it.
I'm going to dissect it.
I mean, to be honest, it is an array of textures and flavours that you would, you know, all from one egg. It is quite fascinating.
It's a mad thought process.
It is.
So where the fuck did you come up with that from?
He's a bit of a genius.
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, it's weird, isn't it? My mind is blown.
So crispy, light and fluffy, nice and gooey in the middle, and then ultra crisp on top.
It's not a decadent luxury like, you know, you have with this spot. Like when you compare that, it's like a spider crab, beautiful ingredients, like treated carefully with loads of skill. This is like trying a bit too hard.
I think it's a lot of skill. I think we probably just didn't do it that well. Hey, we gave it our best go. But it's got a nice flavour running for it. Like, it's also quite a good versatile base. I reckon you could do some cool stuff with that.
Like a souffle pancake.
It's a cool little lockdown product. I'm super impressed with it. If this video gets 5 million views, me and Crofty will go to Bangkok. Business class.
Next up, we're heading to sunny California. A classic French omelette from a restaurant called Le Petit Trois, which is a more casual offshoot of a Michelin-starred restaurant, which is now closed, called Trois Mec. So we're going to season our eggs, give it a nice little mix, and then we're ready to make our omelette. Going to put a pan on a low heat. So this omelette was created by chef Ludo Lefebvre, who was a French chef born in Burgundy and trained under some legendary French chefs such as Pierre Gagné and Alain Passard. So we're going to go in with some butter into our pan. So we're going to get that all melted, not too high a heat. So egg's going to go into the pan like so. So then to get that nice finish on the omelette, we're going to stir it hard at the beginning. But then when it's sort of like just starting to set on the surface, just going to keep shaking it around. Once you're confident you have that loose scrambled egg consistency, then we're just going to spread it out nicely and then leave the bottom of the omelette to form. And we're just going to push down the sides of the omelette. There's a bit of cracked pepper inside the egg. I'm putting it in the inside so it doesn't affect the exterior. Next, we're going to go in with our boursin. Beep, beep, beep. Now we're just going to turn it off, let it rest. The egg's just slowly heating through. I'm going to chop some chives to garnish. It's time to finish. So we're going to fold over one side of our omelette. Butter now underneath here, just to get a nice little shine on the top. Drop out one side and just fold it back on top of each other. So to finish the omelette in the classic way, they're just going to rub a little bit of the butter over the top just to give it a nice little shine. And then they would finish it in the restaurant with a little sprinkling of chives over the top of the omelette. Now this dish may look slightly familiar. The Bear, where Chef Sydney cooks this dish and then at the end, she sprinkles it with some crushed crisps. So in the fashion of the Bear TV show, we're going to finish it in the same way. There we go. Right, this is the famous Boursin à la McCoy.
That looks really good. Yeah, it's proper bear mug-off. Does it have to be McCoy's?
Mug off or appreciation.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, is Boursin actually like, does the French like Boursin?
French common below. Is Boursin, is it part of your national heritage, or is it just something that the English people eat because they think it's fancy? The McCoys are really good.
It feels like it's taking the piss, but it actually tastes delicious. You know?
Yeah. Is this Michelin worthy?
I feel like it's something we would do.
So no.
It feels like it feels like a mug off, but it's backed up with good flavour.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a bit of a mishmash, to be quite honest.
Like if you got served that, if like let's just say you did that perfect omelette with the cheese inside and the chives, and you put a nice little oil on it, and you have some potato crumb. Yeah, it is Michelin worthy, but using the packet crisp, it can't be Michelin worthy.
Packet crisp and balsa.
Yeah, it can't be. But the concept of it, like a creamy, cheesy filling, yeah, absolutely.
This is something that my kids would love. I think I'd cook that for my kids or my wife.
Your wife is a lucky woman.
Hey, last omelette. We're gonna do a classic French with a Parmesan sauce, popularised by Donato Rosso, who was at the time the head chef of a restaurant called Mirazur, which is actually a 3 Michelin star restaurant on the coast of France, in a place called Menton, nice and close to the tax dodging haven of Monaco. Obviously, you've seen so many different variations today, but can you really beat a classic? It is a classic for a reason. And this is just, what we're doing now is just making the Parmesan cream sauce. So it's a classic omelette, but they just pair it with a sauce that works really nicely with it. We've got some 100 grams of Parmesan in there. We're gonna do 5 whole eggs. We're basically making a custard, and we're gonna use a Thermomix to do that. It's a great tool for this because it heats whilst mixing at the same time. So this is gonna cook for 7 minutes, 80 degrees. It'll just coagulate the proteins in the eggs. Cheese will melt. The cream will stabilize that emulsion. And then this will be a beautiful glossy sauce for our omelette. And you can cook the omelette at exactly the same time that this takes to cook. 1, 2, 3. Essentially what we're trying to do is break the structure of the egg. It's got a really soft velvety texture. So you're just adding a little bit of air into it at this stage. So a little bit of olive oil to start, which is what they do in the classic recipe. And then just a touch of butter and let that melt down. And then always with my omelettes, I'll season it at the beginning. It'll give it a more basically delicate, soft texture because the salt binds around the egg proteins. So pass your egg into the pan and then just bring it together. So this is probably stirring the most vigorous at the beginning. We're on a really fine texture. So just turn it over as many times as you can in the first initial stage whilst it's scrambling, and you'll get this ultra sort of fine matrix of scrambled egg, which contribute to a really smooth finish of your omelette. Some black pepper, and then it's just starting to form more of a structure. So you can just take it off the heat and then continue to work it off the heat, super gentle. So we don't want any colour whatsoever on this omelette, and that is the classical French way. So we're getting there now. Like you can see, it's almost started to form some sort of scrambled egg, and then this is probably going to be the last turn. So you can see at the moment it's just really incredibly wet scrambled egg, and then we just want to shape that all over the base of the pan and get a nice even layer across the whole thing, and that's what we're looking for, this beautiful consistency the whole way across, really creamy. Okay, so it's been on the heat, a really gentle heat. What we're going to start to do now is just turn it over very, very delicately, and then place a tiny bit of butter underneath. I've just turned the pan off now, just lightly turn it, and then when you get to the end, just knock the pan to get this perfect crescent shape. And that's going to be a perfect sort of crescent, as they call it, for an omelette. Just release it and just slightly take it out. Okay, so our sort of beautiful crescent shape is there. Glaze it with just a small amount of salted butter. Okay, then we've got this beautiful Parmesan sauce for a little bit of extra luxury, tiny little bit of truffle. 3-star omelette. So a little Parmesan sauce. We've got a little bit of Perignon truffle there.
I do like the Parmesan. I feel like it just needs more Parmesan, more truffle. And maybe some of those crab ones had so much flavour from the crab. It's almost hard to rival them, but it is very good.
Classic for a reason.
Yeah.
3-star? I think not.
Oh, is there such a thing, brother?
The thing is, it's simple, it's technique. And I guess there's some things on a Michelin omelette that can be simple and can still have the Michelin seal of approval. For me, it was the rolled crab omelette. Yeah.
I did like the mountain one, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I thought it was great. But to be honest, if it's taught me one thing, the real winner here is the humble egg and the versatility of that ingredient. Least favourite was the oyster.
No, actually, I think the Bangkok one. Didn't like that one.
I think when you eat something like this, you kind of just think about how simple that is compared to something like the Samlar omelette.
which is very over-engineered. And is it as good? I think not.
Yeah, but I think an omelette is an omelette. There's a couple which were verging on the edge of not being omelettes.
Agreed.
But truffle omelette, crab omelette, fried omelette, I think they were definitely up there with the best ones, and the ones that were trying too hard, I feel you could tell that in the finished product, and they weren't as good.
If you want to see us try and struggle to cook a few more Michelin dishes, click the link above.